Hello M3ers, we're going to take a look at 7.5 polyhedrons. So a polyhedron is, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at what that is. It is a three-dimensional figure and each side of the figure is a polygon. So let's take a look. The first thing, when we look, this is an example, right? This right here, this stack of post-its is a polyhedron. It's a 3D figure and each of the faces is a polygon. In this case, they are all rectangular. So we call the flat sides of the polyhedron, we call it a face. So here we go. Now, if I have the face on the front meets the face on the side, it meets at this line here. This is called the edge. Now, where all the edges come together, instead of calling it a corner, we call it a vertex. Plural is vertices. Okay, so the points where the edges meet are vertices. So we're going to go over this vocabulary so we know what we're talking about. We have a common language. So let's look at this rectangular prism here. If I'm looking at all the flat surfaces, I have the top, the bottom, the right, the left, the front, the back. So I will have six vertices, six faces. Where do they come together? Now, back to my little post-it here. I can see I have four edges on the top. I have four edges on the bottom, right? And then I have four more edges that will go around the middle of my polyhedron. So I have 12 edges. Remember, I had 4 edges around the top, the bottom, and the middle. Now the faces, you'll notice where the faces and the edges meet, those are the vertices. And I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 more on the other side. So I have 8 vertices. Now, let's take a look at this. Remember, this is a face. This is an edge. And right here is a vertex. You'll notice that if there's a pattern here of looking at this type of polyhedron, which we would call a rectangular prism, for the number of faces, it is 4 plus 2. I'm going to have, there are 4 sides to my rectangle, so I know I need to have, we call that the lateral surface around the middle. There's going to be 4 other rectangles. And then I have my top and my bottom. So this is the 4 middle plus the top and the bottom. I have 4 edges around the top, the middle, and the bottom. And my vertices, right? I have 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. Now, all polyhedrons can be grouped into 2 categories. They can be grouped into either a prism or a pyramid. So, a prism will have 2 congruent parallel bases. Now, a rectangular prism, the base is a rectangle and they are parallel and congruent. And then the middle is also made up of rectangles. When I look at a triangular pyramid, right, the triangles are congruent. I'm sorry, triangular prism. The triangles are congruent and they are parallel, and there are rectangles around the middle. So every type of prism around the middle will be made up of rectangles. So there are rectangular faces. Now, special faces called the base may be a different shape. So I'm going to say other than bases. Okay, now when I look at my pyramid, I have exactly one base, and it is unique, typically. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now this base is a rectangular base, so it is a rectangular pyramid. This is a pentagon for the base, so it's a pentagonal pyramid. Now, if I look around the middle, each one of these other faces are triangular. So I have triangular faces, right? And we're talking about other than base. Around the middle. Okay, so prisms and pyramids are both named by the shape of the base. And the base is a polygon, and of course the polygon is named by the number of sides. So let's see, if I have a three-sided polygon, I must have a triangle. A four-sided is a quadrilateral. That could be like a rectangle or a square. We'll talk about some of those special quadrilaterals a little bit later. And if it has five sides, it's a pentagon. 6 sides is a hexagon. So hopefully this is a bit of a flashback. Heptagon. Or it may be a septagon, right? You can call it either way. They're both 7 sides. Septagon. 8 side is an octagon. 9 sides is a nonagon. Nonagon. And a 10-sided is a decagon. Remember, gon means side. All right, let's take a quick look at the flip side here. All right, so if I have a figure and it has 2 congruent octagons and 8 congruent rectangles, what's the name of the shape? Well, if it has 2 bases, 2 unique congruent bases, that are octagons, it's got to be an octagonal something. 2 bases, prism, 1 base pyramid. This had 2, so we're going to call it an octagonal prism. The next one has 1 pentagon and 5 triangles. So if it's only got 1 base, it's a pyramid. The shape of the base is a pentagon, so it'll be a pentagonal pyramid. Now, I have 3 polyhedrons down here. I'm sorry, these are not polyhedrons. Why aren't they polyhedrons? Let's take a look at that. They are 3D figures, but they are not made up of polygons. They have curved surfaces. So, the first one is a cylinder, just like a can. The second one is a cone. Hopefully we can flip that upside down and put some ice cream in it soon. And the third one is a sphere. Now, Why weren't they polyhedrons? Because the faces are not polygons. And they're not polygons because they are curved. So, which of these figures here, cylinder, cone, or sphere, is most like a prism? I would have to say that would be the cylinder. And that is because it has two congruent bases. Which is most like a pyramid? I would go with the cone because it has one base. Okay. So now we're going to do a little bit of drawing. So let's see how this goes. We're going to look at a triangular prism. So if it's a triangular prism, I know I'm starting with a triangle. And what I want to do is I want to take this triangular prism and I want to flatten it out so I have a net drawing. So if I flip open the top, I know the middle part are all rectangles and the top and bottom are triangles. If a triangle has 3 sides, then I need 3 rectangles. So I've got 2 bases that are triangles. These are not very good. They should look congruent because we know they are congruent if they were to form a prism. And then the 3 rectangles. So once again, I had 3 rectangles plus the 2 bases gives me 5 total faces. How many edges? I would have 3 edges around the triangle on the top, 3 edges around the triangle on the bottom, and then I'd have 3 edges around the middle. So that gives me 9 edges. I have 3 corners on the top and I would have 3 corners on the bottom for my triangle. So that would give me 6 vertices. So we always start with how many sides the base has. Now, if I have a pentagonal prism, right, I'm going to have a pentagon. It has 5 sides, right? If it's a pyramid, though, I'm only going to have one of them. I'm going to actually put that in the middle so I have a little more room to draw on. There we go. So, and then how many triangles should I have off of each? I should have a triangle off of each one of these. These triangles are going to be isosceles triangles. So, how many faces? I have 5 triangles plus my base. So that gives me 6 faces. How many edges? I would have 5 around the bottom for my pentagon and then 5 around the middle for my pyramid. That would give me 10. And for vertices, I'd have 5 along the pentagon and then I'd have 1 at the very top. So 5 plus 1 would give me a total of 6 vertices. All right, if I was at school, I'd be able to pull out our 3D figures and we could pass them around and take another look at them. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. The next one is a pyramid. So I know I'm going to have a base and then I'm going to have triangles off my base. Now what shape is the base? The base is an octagon. So let's draw an octagon has 8 sides. So let's try drawing an octagon. All right, off of each of these 8 sides is a triangle. Yep. There we go. So I've got faces. I've got 8 triangles plus the base. Gives me 9 faces. I will have 8 edges around the bottom and 8 edges around the middle for 16 edges. I will have 8 vertices along the base plus 1 at top, which will give me 9 vertices. Okay, now my last one is a prism. A prism has 2 bases and its other faces are always rectangles. So I'm going to start with my hexagon. Here we go. And then, so that would be the top, and then I've got another hexagon on the bottom. And then I need a total of 6 rectangles. So I have 5. I need 5 more. 4. Let's see, I've got 3. All right, so does that give me 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, one more. 6 rectangles. All right. Now, I have 6 rectangles plus 2 bases, which give me a total of 8 faces. There are 6 edges to a hexagon, and I'm going to have that on the top, the bottom, and the middle, so that gives me 18 edges. I have 6 vertices around the top and 6 around the bottom, so that gives me a total of 12 vertices. All right, nice job. See you soon.